For about the last year, I've made a few videos on specifically what not to do when you buy guns and ammo because you're being tracked. You got to know that. You have to know that. And now it is actually law in 17 states that you will be tracked if you do this one thing when you're buying guns and ammo. Now just think about that for just a second, that every time, if you were in these 17 states, and believe me, it's not just these 17 states, it's law in these 17 states, but this applies to all 50 states, that you are being tracked if you do this one single thing. And ultimately what that one thing is revolves around how you pay. When you go into a gun store and you use a credit card or your debit card, right now, in this very moment, and for the past several months, credit card companies are red flagging your purchases if for some reason the credit card companies don't approve of your purchase, or it makes them feel it's sketchy, or I don't know. I don't know how they judge it. Probably an algorithm. I'm sure it's the volume of ammo or the types of guns that you're buying, but you're being red flagged. And then they send those to your local sheriff. Now, and most sheriffs are just going to probably wad them up and throw them in the trash. If it's a Missouri sheriff, I'd like to believe that, but that's my hopes, is that most will just wad it up and throw it in the trash. But if you look at the sheer volume of these red flags, what we're talking is so far in 2024, over 7 million red flags. Now just think about that. Credit card companies have sent out over 7 million red flags to sheriffs around this country. And now in 17 states, starting with California, followed by New York, in 17 states, it's law that this takes place. That if you go in and you use your credit card to buy guns or ammo and you get red flagged, by law, they're going to follow up with that stuff. So it's a law that it has to be reported, and it's now a law that they have to follow up with it. So if you're in California, for example, and you go and you buy 1,000 rounds and you get red flagged, you're going to hear from your local sheriff. Now, I kind of made this video really not for the news of this, because you've known this is around. It's just, it's new that it's law in so many states. That's new. But you knew the red flags were coming, hopefully, at this point. But the one thing that you can do to avoid this, pay with cash. It's almost as good as money. Just simply go to the bank, get out some cash, go make your purchase. I also recommend you go to mom and pop stores that don't use the online application. That's a whole other, background check. That's a whole other video, because now those are getting logged. But again, that's a whole other video. But just don't use your credit card when you're making guns and ammo purchases, or your debit card. Go to the bank, get some cash, bring it to the gun store. And quite honestly, I know a lot of gun stores that give you a discount for cash, because then they don't have to pay that 3.5% or whatever it is. So you're really kind of better off doing that anyway, especially at the mom and pop stores, the smaller gun shops that you have around. It's going to prevent you from ever getting a red flag. If you never use your credit card and you never use your debit card to buy guns or ammo, this will never apply to you. It's the simple thing you have to do. Now, I kind of want to add to this that a lot of the pro-Second Amendment states are, and I put that in quotes because there's so many, people act like their state's pro-Second Amendment when oftentimes it is not. And a lot of the pro-Second Amendment states are using those vending machines now, the ammo vending machines, and people think, oh, that's a great way. But guess what? Scans your ID, scans your face, and you have to use a credit card to pay. Don't ever use those. I mean, that's a totally other video as well. But the bottom line of this video is right now, in 17 states, you will be flagged if you buy guns and ammo with a credit card or a debit card, depending on whether or not the bank approves of your purchase or not. If they see it dangerous, you're getting red flagged and you're getting reported to the sheriff. And by law in those 17 states, those sheriffs will be following up on those red flags. And in the other states, this is right now been going on for months. Whether or not your sheriff's going to do anything about it, by law, they don't have to if you're not in one of those 17 states. But, if you've ever met law enforcement officers, many of them are great. Many of them are power-hungry people who like to bully people. And when they get a hold of something, of somebody they don't like, you think they're not going to follow up on that stuff? If you happen to live in a place where the sheriff doesn't like you and he gets that information, what do you think he's going to do? He's going to come take your guns is what he's going to do. Especially if you have red flag laws in your state or county or city or whatever the case may be. So, simple way to avoid all of this, all those problems, just simply don't use your credit card or your debit card when you're buying guns and ammo. The consequences, they're just too great. It's just simply too great. Might as well, and you could just avoid it all. Just avoid it all by just simply paying cash. And probably get a discount that way too. So there you go. Love to know your insight on this, especially if you live in one of those 17 states. If you had experience with this, put it in the comments below. I'd love to know how this is actually playing out, because all I see is the numbers and the data and the laws. But I would love to know how this is playing out. If you have experience with this, or I'd also like to know what would your sheriff do if he got a red flag. Is you trust your local sheriff? I'd be very curious what the percentage of that is. So there you go, man. Any thoughts or insight on any of this? Definitely put that below. Do want to take a moment and say most people watch this channel, hey, they're not subscribers. Click that subscribe button. Greatly increases the algorithm and our ability to get these messages out. That link is also below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests. Please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.